police officer is tied to the gurney. There's 2 priests in the room with him. The door is glass, so we could see what's happening. And it's thick glass. It's nothing you could break. And on the other side of that door are 2 of the Crusaders, now that I know, that are standing guard. Mm-hmm. And then it was us, 30 series. And then from the glass, we would see the exorcism take place on this gentleman.
So they had layers of protection in case this perp or this
entity got away. Mm-hmm. They were ready to do whatever they needed to do to make sure that he didn't get out of that room. And that's when I witnessed the exorcism for the first time, where I was like, wow. And one of the questions, of course, was, do I ever have to do that? And the answer was, you will never be able to do that because
you're not a man of the cloud. So during the when you responded to when you arrived on the scene of this high-speed chase, and you saw this, what do you call him? Perp?
Yeah,
suspect. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when you arrived on the scene and you saw the suspect get out of the car, was there any, particular signs or anything that he did that made you think that this, is not a normal human being or person?
Yeah. The car crashed and hit the pole, he hit the pole at 80, 90 miles an hour. Most people would probably be dead. So we were really surprised that he came out of the car, and then the car started playing music because we thought there might have been somebody else in there. Who the hell turned on the music? But the music turned on by itself, and it was loud because there was the speakers in the back, and it was playing this Tupac sound just super loud. Mm. And he came out, we're expecting to be dead, but he's gashed up, and the way he's dancing, it's very puppeteer-like is the best way I can explain it, meaning his hands sort of like almost like somebody's controlling him. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, he does a spin move, and the shot goes off. And that's the crash, his body gesture. There's also another thing that I have never told anybody, but there's a smell that a person that is being possessed or has been possessed has. It's almost like sulfur or rotten meat. You could smell that emanating from that car crash, even though the radiator's spilling out and there's oil and gas. There's that scent, almost like if you've ever smelled a decomposed body, like you'll never forget what that smells like. It's sort of like that. So when you're on there, you're like, oh, I know what this is. Because as soon as you walk into a house and you're like, oh, yeah. Oh, shit, here we go. Okay. So those are the signs you started getting used to, like something's not right.
Yeah. So when the exorcism was happening, you were standing behind the Crusaders. You were outside a room, a glass room.
It's a metal door with the big 3x4, probably 4-inch glass or more. It's just super thick. I mean, you wouldn't have been able to punch or shoot through it.
But you could see and hear everything that was going on in there.
Yeah, you could hear and see what was happening in that room.
So explain to us, if you don't mind.
Never seen one.
Yeah, for people who've never seen one or don't believe that, this stuff happens. What was this like for you? What did you see?
When I first saw it with my own 2 eyes, it made me get closer to God. That's when you realize there is a God and there is a devil. The sounds that were coming out of that room were animalistic. The growls, the laughing, the mockery. And it got to a point that the exorcism took almost about an hour. But within that hour, he started to levitate from the gurney. This exorcism is being done by candlelight. And the reason why I bring that up is because I eventually asked, I said, why are you using candles? And one of the Crusaders says, it's how you're really supposed to do an exorcism. I said, why is that? He says, because any energy source, it could tap into it and use it against you, exploding glass and things like that. So with candles, the only thing you could do is either extinguish it or make it shoot like flames. And they were far enough where it wouldn't hurt nobody. And I'm like, oh, okay. Never asked the question again. But so when I see these movies where the priest is, like the Exorcism, or, you see these movies where like, we're going to perform it here. It's like, no, you need a clean room to do it. So that way you don't get anybody hurt or killed. Because if it has the power or levitation, what else does it have? Send something clear across the room to your head. I mean, you have to do it in a clean room. So every time I see these things or movies play out, I kind of laugh because I go, no, that's not the proper way of doing it. And you wonder why people get hurt.
So during that hour this exorcism was taking place, or that time, can you kind of give us any more specifics on like what kind of noises, or was there, was he speaking any sort of language? Did you hear anything he was saying specifically?
The sounds that were coming out of the person's mouth were animalistic, meaning growls, hissing. And most of the stuff was just mockery of God and his willingness to sacrifice himself to clay. And it would make mention of that a lot, that we were the weak ones, we're clay, they're metal, and made references like that. And it was just trying to do anything and everything to disrupt the priest from doing its exorcism. Even at a point that I remember, he called out the priest's mother that passed away years ago. I think her name was Lucia. I'm like, oh, your mama Lucia. And he just knew shit that he shouldn't have known. Because how is he going to know a person's mother that's a priest that literally came from fucking Rome? It's impossible. So those are the things that we saw. And we stood there, and it stood for an hour. And after we saw it, we all sort of left there. And I remember just feeling tired. I just wanted to sleep. I just remember feeling mentally and physically exhausted. And